climbing, Dean Potter has set himself apart as one of the most innovative and successful climbers of his generation. His exploits in his adopted home of the Yosemite Valley, as well as around the world, have pushed the boundaries of the sport, making what was once thought to be impossible, possible. Possessing a rare combination of athleticism, strength, and an almost superhuman ability to suppress fear and danger from the climbing equation, Potter has raised the bar for all climbers. In the process, he has produced some of the most astounding climbing feats of the last 50 years. Of these, none is more impressive than his 2001 free linkup of two of the most famous big walls in the world. When Potter became the first and only man in history to free climb the main faces of Yosemite's El Capitan and Half Dome in a single day. Potter has also emerged as a pioneer and star in the growing sport of slacklining, where he continually expands his own limits and sets the standard in a sport where danger is inherent with every step. What drives this man to do the thrilling and dangerous things that he does? What allows him to set aside every man's natural instinct for safety and survival? In the next hour, we hear in his own words what is at the core of Dean Potter.
I've always been powerless to do anything except follow my passion. When doing exactly what I want, I have no distractions. Nothing pulling me away from what it is I love. My name is Dean Potter. I came to Yosemite Valley in 1992, and though my travels have at times taken me away, I never truly leave this place. It is always with me, always on my mind, always in my soul, calling me home. Ever since I was a kid, first getting into climbing, I wanted to travel to Yosemite Valley. Known the world over as the mecca of rock climbing, the valley has the most beautiful sculpted rock I've ever touched. Nowhere else in the world is there such easily accessible walls of such perfect quality granite. Saying that Yosemite is one of the most powerful places I've ever been is a gross understatement. At times, I feel almost insignificant within its walls. I just want to be a part of it. All of these things come together, giving me amazing inspiration, which allows me to do things I never thought were possible. I came here a climber without direction, not sure where my life would go or even where I wanted it to go. But one look into this valley changed that. This place moves me. It inspires, awes, and challenges me, this natural playground. I've made some of the best friends anyone could ever have and feel a real connection with the like-minded people who live here. Yosemite is such an amazing place to live that the smaller trivial desires I usually hold drop away, and I am just happy to be within the valley's walls, breathing in the beauty. For a rock climber, there is no other place in the world like this. Really, for a human being, there is no place in the world like this, like the Yosemite Valley. My first experience in rock climbing was bouldering. It is one of the most difficult pursuits in climbing for me. It is what I've practiced longer than anything, yet I am far from being a master at it. For me, it is as pure and unrestricted as climbing gets. The passion I have for bouldering I share with good friends that I've made here in the valley, like Rick Kashner. And spending an afternoon in the woods playing in the boulders is as carefree and fun as it gets. I seek to be one with my surroundings, open to the voice of the wild, able to hear my true desires and not be limited to the confines of competition. Sure, I want to push myself, but not against anyone or anything. The highest power comes from pure inspiration. Slacklining is the easiest way I know to quiet my mind. Rising on a sunny morning alone in a meadow, it puts me in a meditative state where all of my senses heighten. My troubles fall away, and I feel happy just breathing and walking. Slacklining demands total concentration. Through slacklining, I learned the ability to click into singular focus at will. Moving totally relaxed and in command transfers to climbing unquestionably. So many times while on the walls, if I don't relax and become rigid, I will fall. Calming myself in these pressure situations gives me a lot of confidence that I will not crack when things become dangerous or difficult. Transferring what I do on the low line to a high line takes all this and multiplies it to another level. I seem to be able to do anything on a low line. The line does not change when I put it up high, but I change. I become nervous, afraid. I can barely walk a line that would be easy for me close to the ground. This is the main attraction for me with highlining. It's all in my mind. This allows me to come closer to the belief that I can do anything if I believe in it. I sometimes feel brief moments when I'm spinning and bouncing that seem effortless. Though this is what I strive for, it is not the norm. On Highlines, I'm processing a lot of fear and exposure. This makes me incredibly tense. Though I try to fight this tension by relaxing, I usually need to use more strength up high, always trying to be sure that I will not lose control and not be able to catch the line. For something that looks effortless, walking Highlines uses a massive amount of energy. The thing that seems to drain me the most is the total consumption of my mind and my senses. El Capitan and Half Dome are two of the most renowned big walls in the world. Upon entering the valley, whether you're a climber or not, most everybody is overwhelmed by the sheer size, beauty, and positioning of the two big walls. They have been at the leading edge of climbing for over 50 years and are limitless in the challenges and inspiration they offer the people who see them. To me, it seemed totally obvious to want to climb them both in a single day. I've been climbing on these rocks for over a decade. Every move is logged in my mind. The rock has imprinted itself as scars on my fingers and hands. This repetition has seared each movement into my brain. Before a big climb, I'm very anxious, and it calms me. It reassures me to draw super detailed maps of what I'm going to climb. Seeing my objectives clearly drawn and labeled on paper somehow makes doing them seem more possible. When I linked the two great walls in 2001, I knew it would require me to push myself harder than I ever had before. First, I needed to climb the 2,000-foot face of Half Dome in at most 4 hours. I would then need to run 7 miles to the base of El Cap before starting the final leg of the linkup in total darkness. The start of Half Dome's climbing sits 3,000 feet above the valley floor. To give myself every advantage, my partner and I decided to hike to the base the night before the attempt in order to be fresh for the wall. This tactic of camping at the base of Half Dome makes the linkup super efficient, helping to save my energy for part 2 of the linkup. At the beginning of such a long climb, I am super tense. But once I start climbing, doing what I'm used to, I relax. During the beginning beginning of the linkup especially, I try not to hurry. Getting into a groove is my main concern. I'm not moving at a frantic rate, but it is constant. Slowly increasing my pace, I don't want to burn out. I need to have energy for 24 hours. A few hours later, a feeling of awe overtakes me when we reach a ledge called Big Sandy, just a few hundred feet below the summit. The warmth of the sun feels good, but above the hardest and scariest parts of the route await. Through the zigzags, I try to keep my head together, focusing on my minute contact points with the rock. My fingers clamp on thin edges as my feet seem to be glued to the friction of the rock. I am finally becoming relaxed with where I am, and my warning mind becomes quiet. No longer do I think about the moves I am making. I just react intuitively to whatever comes. As I finish the zigzags, I'm faced with Thank God Ledge. It is called this partly because it puts you on your hands and knees to cross it, and also because without this perfect ledge, the climb would not go free. I move on to the second to last pitch before the top. The nearing summit starts to enter my consciousness, yet I need to focus on what I am faced with now. This is the most slippery and technical part of the route, the final slab, void of holds. This is where my balance and focus from the slackline helps me clear my mind and move confidently through. Above the crux, I am shot with an enormous amount of energy and confidence. I race through the final step ledge systems to the top. I place no gear in my haste, eyes locked on the summit. light is almost gone. Super exhilarated, I have no time to stop. I feed on this surge of energy and use it to move into the night, hoping it will carry me through the hours of pounding downward on the descent and into the darkness on the captain. Usually I feel confident when climbing, but during this one-day push, I felt totally unsure of whether I could keep going. Muscles cramping, fighting nausea, wanting to sleep, feet pounding from being in tight climbing shoes, fingers worn raw from thousands of feet of holding on. It feels super impossible to be starting El Cap's 3,000-foot face in complete darkness. My head aches from overexertion, and my eyes strain to see the tiniest foot smears. I often can't see what I'm standing on. I just trust that my feet know the way. My climbing partner, Scott Stowe, stays alert and psyched the whole night. He gives me confidence that we are on schedule and safe. I drive out the fear and feelings of giving up and just concentrate on the small sphere of rock lit up by my headlamps. Somehow it makes me feel more safe, and I forget the immense exposure growing beneath me. The warmth of the first rays of sun instantly soak into me, warming my core. I can't believe how beautiful it is. The entire valley is still in darkness, and we are in the only shaft of light. Somehow the incredible positioning and acknowledgement of where I am and what I'm doing gives me a substantial lift, and I feel capable of finishing this thing. The hardest climbing of the linkup is still above. We rest on top of El Cap's spire, 2,000 feet up the captain. We unrope and feel safe and relaxed for a while. It is crucial for me to get my energy back, no matter how long it takes. If I don't regain my strength, I will not be able to climb through the cruxes above. First up, the Huber pitch. The Huber pitch has the hardest moves on the entire 5,000 feet of climbing. These few moves require pulling on tiny razor-sharp edges with super pinpointed footwork. My contact to the rock is just a couple of dime edges. Usually my strength makes these areas feel safe. Now I am without power and have to trust in my technique. High on the wall, I am overwhelmed once again by where I am. I know I can do it. My mental chatter turns off and I instinctually flow through the moves. I am no longer tired. My body is light from being drained for most of a day. I totally believe that I'm doing it. Through some of the hardest climbing on the route, I feel like I'm floating. Somehow it feels easy. I am in an amazing high. I've been working on this enchainment for close to a decade. It's an unbelievable dream to finally be here doing it. It may look to others that what I do is not thought out. I wouldn't even be here if that were the case. Free climbing the two biggest formations in Yosemite in a day has been my constant obsession for years. I know if I make a mistake, it could be the end of my life. Willingly entering into life or death situations dissolves the importance of everything else in life that is superficial. The need to live is the strongest motivation there is.